4:30 on a Thursday afternoon, I had come home from a long, tiring day of school. What did I do next? I hopped on my couch, devoured a bag of ketchup chips, and zoned out watching Netflix. Am I painting a familiar picture here? Yet, on this day, something wasn't hitting quite right. Something wasn't totally satisfying my urge to just let go. So the obvious solution, as a teenager does, I added my phone. My family likes to take many pictures of me and videos. There's a lot more where that came from. But something about this wasn't working. It wasn't as entertaining or as stimulating as I thought it would be. Why did I feel worse? Why did I still feel stressed, anxious, bored, and tired? And what would actually make me feel better? This led me to ponder the meaning of the word wellness, a popular and yet somewhat enigmatic word to me as a high school student. The concept of the word wellness is something I've thought a lot about and spent a lot of time trying to figure out what it means to me. This led me to coin a 4-step approach that I like to call my path to wellness. Step 1, perception, is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something. So in today's day and age, this has sort of had a lot of expectations surrounded for me about how to spend my time. And I know my mom loves that one because if anybody knows my schedule, it's quite a hectic one. There's this overwhelming sense of pressure about how to lead a life that is productive, making sure that you're watching your grades, you're stimulating your career and growing it. But this isn't something that's made me feel super great. And again, my mom knows that one. But I think a large part of it has been how I've responded to it. And so it's how I spend my time. Instead of asking myself, what do I deserve? Do I deserve to take a break? I ask myself, what have I done to make myself happy? What have I done to make myself a better person? Changing the metrics has been a large part of my wellness journey in ensuring that I am the person who I want myself to be. And so that leads me to the idea of hustle culture. Like I described, it's this idea that one must always be working hard. And so when it comes to hustle culture leads to feelings of guilt and shame and selfishness within communities. And I think that it's really important that we move away from those ideologies. In fact, 1 in 5 employees state that guilt is the reason they don't break away from work. And so these are feelings that I also experience. And that's why I've chosen to sort of change the way that I approach my wellness and sort of approach it in a more intuitive way. This leads me to the next part of path. That would be analysis. I decided to complete an audit on myself and my mental well-being. This has been a really difficult process because I've had to come to terms with harsh realities about what my life looks like, and I've had to practice deep self-awareness. So to help, I've asked myself questions like, what makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? What do I love, and what nourishes me? A common misconception is that what nourishes you is synonymous with what makes you feel good. My ketchup chips made me feel really good in the moment, but it probably didn't nourish my body or my soul. And so when completing my audit, one thing that I realized that I had been neglecting was my skincare, a simple and even trivial step to some that is vital in my self-care practice. Skincare is something that allows me to put my best face forward, literally, and feel confident in myself. Skincare allows me to recharge, reset, and unplug, and it's something that I realize I've been neglecting. Hopefully you can't tell, wearing quite a bit of makeup. But I think that it's something that has grown to be a very important part of my mental health and just taking time for myself. And when it comes to these steps, it's important to realize that small steps can make a really big impact. The National Institute of Mental Health states that self-care can help your management of stress, and it can even help reduce the risk of illness. And so it's the realization that these small steps that you take that seem really small in the beginning, and like I said, even trivial, can have such a huge impact in the future. This leads me to the third step, trial and error. I mean, we've all been there. I've found that in this stage in my life, something that I really enjoy is reading. Mr. Rose, English teacher, you can probably appreciate that. But I've also found that I don't really like yoga. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm just not really down with the downward dog. But I found that I've allowed myself to try everything, and that's what makes it okay. I've tried everything from art class to cooking. My family has experienced the many failures, but that's okay. They love me, so they have to eat it. And I've even tried rock climbing, something I found I'm not too skilled at, but that's okay. It's just taking these small ideas and figuring out what works for me that's really helped me improve. And that leads me to my final step, which is habits. In my opinion, the hardest. I've found that a part of habits is consistency. And I'm sure you can all relate that it's something that's insanely difficult. Let's take a look at New Year's resolutions. If you're anything like me, you joined the gym in January only to quit in 2 weeks to return to the couch, the chips, the phone. I mean, they do say that old habits die hard, and I am, I guess, the representation of that. But I think what I've took from that in my research is that, in fact, 92% of people do not achieve their New Year's resolutions, and that's made me realize that I'm not alone. This is something that many people have struggled with. And so I acknowledge that consistency in my journey has been my biggest roadblock. In preparation for my talk, I read a book called Atomic Habits. I'm not sure if you're familiar, by James Clear, and it's about the science of creating and maintaining good habits. Clear describes 4 simple steps: the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward, a cyclical process that he calls the habit loop. And this is something that I think can definitely be applied in my own life. And he even goes on to describe how to maintain good habits. And so when we think about me maintaining my self-care and my face care, what do I do to make the habit obvious? Well, something that I try to do is I put it next to my toothbrush, which makes it really easy. I choose products that I love the smell and feel of so that it's attractive. I don't overcomplicate it. I'm not the type of person to have a million steps and take like 3 hours to do my skincare, so that I don't have to waste a ton of time at the end of the night. And I make it easy, like I said. So that's something that I've done, and that's helped me maintain this habit and really help hold myself accountable. I won't lie, when crafting this talk, I had one fear in particular, trepidations about coming off as some sort of health guru that had all the answers to unlocking wellness. We live in this saturated world of social media where high-profile personalities and influencers help determine what you eat, what you wear, where you travel, and even what you think. And I will not claim to do that. I don't have all the answers. I'm still growing into who I am as a person and developing my identity. This may not work for you, and this may not even work for me in the future. But I hope that if you've taken anything away from this talk, it's been a few strategies to help improve your mental health and add to your wellness arsenal. And maybe I've even inspired a few of you to start a journey of your own. I would say that if you're starting your wellness journey, my advice to you is to turn inward, trust your intuition, and embrace the challenge of your own growth. Thank you.